This is something, a part two of something that I thought I'd never seen my entire life. Jeff Nippard, one of my favorite fitness content creators, who I actually heavily attribute to helping me learn the knowledge of getting in better shape. I used to be 330 pounds, and now I'm 228. But he came into a lot of heat when he started talking about these fake natties as if they were real natties, and he made a response called Addressing the Controversy, addressing those claims that are attempting to take him down. Let's see how well he did. Let's see if he can dismantle these.
To figure out if someone is natural or not by looking at them.
Okay.
If they're below the line, they're natty. If they're above the line, they're not. But the problem is people draw that line in very different places.
Okay.
Some people draw the line here at Will Tennyson. Others draw the line right up to, but not including Simeon Panda. Believe it or not, a lot of people still think that The Rock is natty. And recently, millions of people fell for the Liver King scam, buying that his physique came from his ancestral diet and not the $10,000 monthly steroid cocktail. So it's understandable why so many people don't believe influencers anymore.
Okay.
It's also understandable why there's so much disagreement about how big you can get without steroids, even within.
Well, the other thing is, one of the guys is 19 years old, who's only been training for a year and a half, and his main training was putting a ladder in a broom and then hanging off of it. That's just, there's just no way to look like Hussein does. There's no way to look like that without steroids.
In our own community, people are not on the same page about this. And it's leading to some absolute dumpster fire debates.
The fake natural epidemic is getting worse.
Never played a sport in his life and then just blew up like an IFBB pro. That's how that works.
So in this video, I'm diving straight into the dumpster fire.
Okay.
And I'm taking 3 tools with me: history, science, and common sense.
Okay.
And using those 3 tools, I'm gonna give my final answer to the question, how big can you get without steroids?
Okay. Interesting.
Steroids are, for the most part, different flavors of testosterone. Tren is testosterone with this carbon atom removed. Nandrolone is the same thing but with a few less double bonds, and testpropionate, enanthate, and cypionate are all literally just testosterone with an ester chain added at different lengths, which impacts how quickly it's released into your system. So the first step in our natty or not journey is figuring out when steroids actually became available.
Okay.
That way we can look at the most jacked guys from before then and know with certainty that their physiques were achieved naturally, because the drugs didn't exist yet. All right, testosterone was first isolated in 1935 by a Dutch pharmacologist named Ernst Lequeur at the University of Amsterdam, where he took literally thousands of bull testicles, mashed them up into a pulp, and squeezed the testosterone out. By the early 1940s,
that's how it was made. I did not know that.
Psychiatrists started experimenting with that testosterone as a potential cure for what they were calling male menopause, which is basically just depression and low sex drive. It actually worked too. But testosterone still wasn't publicly available, and at this point, no one actually realized that it could be used as a performance-enhancing drug. It actually wasn't until the 1952 World Olympics and
it's really weird how like shit was made. Steroids. Yo, what if I take this cow's testicles and I just smash them up into like a cream and then I just rub them over my body? You think it'll do anything? I want you to think about it real quick. How did the freaky ass motherfucker figure out how a cow's udder works? You know what I'm saying? How'd you figure that out? Bro, when you hear the story of how people understood what % of the human body was water, that shit will haunt you forever. Because you're gonna have to do some crazy shit to figure that out. And like, how do people know that other breeds of animals wouldn't get pregnant if you f***ed them as a human? Very interesting.
Finland that people finally realized that testosterone could make you bigger and stronger. That's because, out of nowhere, Soviet weightlifters suddenly and suspiciously took home 3 gold medals. And with that, the very first natty or not scandal had begun. A couple years later, in 1954, the bodybuilding world's misadventures with steroids officially began when Dr. John Ziegler went to the York Barbell Club in Pennsylvania and injected John Grimmick with his first shot of steroids. And the rest is history.
Yeah, he looks insane. Looks fucking crazy.
So, based on all this, I think it's safe to say that in all likelihood, American bodybuilders weren't juicing before the 1950s.
Okay.
Which means that this physique from 1947 was built 100% naturally. In this photo, Steve Reeves is 21 years old at 6 foot 1 inches tall, 250
I can believe
pounds,
that.
and what looks to be around 10, maybe 12% body fat.
Sure.
Now, he actually wasn't the biggest guy that I could find from this era, but I do think he was the most aesthetic.
And the real reason that I picked Steve Reeves as an example of a natural bodybuilder from the pre-steroid era is that literally everyone agrees that this physique is 100% achievable naturally, right?
Actually, maybe the problem is I need to know other factors. I would never judge someone entirely off appearance. I need to know how they trained, how long, and how long they've been training. So I could actually see this guy as doing steroids. I'm still not completely sold, but I want to know how he was training and how long.
Right? All right, well, there are a few skeptics. I guess these people think that Steve Reeves, a 21-year-old from
That was a one-like comment. That's not really that big of a deal.
Montana, found a steroid plug before the U.S. Olympics team at a time when the U.S.-Soviet rivalry was at an all-time high. But you know what? Let's entertain the extreme skepticism and go back to before Ernst LeCure ever isolated testosterone. The most jacked person I could find from this era was this man, Eugene Sandow. To this day, this is who the Mr. Olympia trophy is named after. This photo was taken in 1897, 6 years before the airplane was invented. He was 5'9", 185 pounds, at around 10% body fat and 100% natural. But the 1800s were a long time ago. I mean, gym equipment looked like this.
That's crazy.
And this. And, okay, this is actually a pretty cool lat pull down, but the point is, Eugene Sandow was not training anywhere near optimally in 1897.
Yeah, and I would 1,000,000% believe that this guy's natty. I would entertain that thought. If this guy is recognized as the guy on the fucking Olympics and a guy who trained with like rocks and shit and like this archaic ass tools, I could absolutely believe it. His pectorals are honestly not even really that impressive. If he's going to be the top one guy, I mean, you can see like the little bulge out right there. There's also like not really that good of lighting in these photos either. I can believe this guy was natty 100%.
He was a pioneer and a great early proponent of exercise, but
once again, he makes me look like a bitch. This guy could kill me. And I bet his strength is insane. But he doesn't look as puffed up and juiced as some of the guys who have testosterone are using or look like.
Once said that the best way to train was to use, quote, light weights,
And what's very interesting is back in this time, a lot of people didn't really see the necessity of training chest. That didn't happen until much later, actually. A lot of people just said, fuck, chest doesn't matter.
5 to 10 pounds for 10 to 15 reps. 5 to 10 pounds for 10 to 15 reps? Now, it's been over 100 years since Sandow gave those tips. And in that time, more than 500,000 scientific studies have been published on exercise science and nutrition. And millions of people have pursued bodybuilding, professionally and recreationally. So, for as good as he looked, there's absolutely no reason to think that Eugene Sandow was the pinnacle of natural muscular development. The most groundbreaking study on natural muscular development was published by Corey and colleagues in 1995. The researchers went to local gyms in Los Angeles and Boston and asked people if they were natty or not. They got 74 natties and 83 enhanced guys to volunteer for the study.
Okay.
Then, after urine testing them to make sure they weren't lying, the researchers measured everyone's height, weight, and body fat percentage using hydrostatic underwater weighing, which was considered one of the gold standards at the time.
Interesting.
From there, they plugged all their body measurements into this formula for fat-free mass index, or FFMI, which is basically just a number that tells you how jacked you are. The bigger the number, the more muscular. It's a really simple formula. You take your body weight, subtract your fat mass, and divide it by your height squared. So it's really just your lean mass divided by your height squared. This is what they found. Each circle on the graph represents a different person. On the left are all the natural lifters, and on the right
Allegedly.
are all the lifters taking steroids.
Allegedly.
And on the y-axis is their FFMI. Remember, the higher the number, the more jacked. So this guy was the most muscular, this guy was the least muscular.
Sure.
There are a few really interesting findings here. First, it's obvious that the steroid users were more jacked on average.
Of course, they have
no
more
surprises there.
Of course.
But if you look at the individual subjects, you can see that going on steroids didn't actually guarantee that you'd be bigger than every natty.
Well, yeah, because all testosterone does is remove the ceiling. It doesn't make you work harder, right? Like, you still got to put in the fucking work, right? And everybody knows this shit. Like, taking steroids will give you a much higher limit, but if you don't put in the work to get there, nothing's going to change.
Like, this guy down here was taking steroids
People think that you just take steroids, you get ripped. That's not how it works. It's you got to take steroids and then you got to lift like a motherfucking madman.
And he was still smaller than 86% of the natural lifters. Actually, quite a lot of the natural lifters were just as jacked as the enhanced guys. Like, all of these lifters had an FFMI of 24 to 25. And while 14 were enhanced, 9 were natty. But I think the main takeaway from this study is that there really was a hard cutoff for the natural lifters.
Yeah, of course.
Out of 74 subjects, not a single one.
Yeah, that's why we always say that you can't look like that unless you're on T, because there obviously is a cutoff for how you can look naturally.
Had a fat-free mass index above 25. 100% of lifters with an FFMI of 25 or higher were on steroids. This led the authors to state that only rare individuals, perhaps with some genetic or congenital anomalies, may attain an FFMI in excess of 25 without steroids. I fit their trend too. According to my latest DEXA scan, I'm 10.3% body fat, I'm 164.5 centimeters tall, and I weigh 155.8 pounds.
I will say Jeff Nippard looks fucking ridiculous.
That means my FFMI comes out to 24.4.
Sure.
So, is that it? 25 is the natty limit? Well, let's see. This is a list of all the pre-steroid era Mr. America bodybuilding winners from 1939 to 1949. In 1939, Burt Goodrich was the best bodybuilder in America. He had an FFMI of, 24.3. The next winner was Roland Essmaker. His FFMI was 22.6. In 1940, John Gremick won the title with an FFMI of 24.0. In 1942, Frank Late won the title with an FFMI of, there it is, 25.5.
That's weird because that guy don't even look that crazy. Am I crazy here? Like, this guy don't even look that crazy.
And then from 1943 to 1949, 5 other pre-steroid era bodybuilders broke through the supposed natty ceiling.
Hold up.
25.5. And then from 1943 to 1949, 5 other pre-steroid era bodybuilders broke through the supposed natty ceiling.
That's because they got steroids earlier. They had a hookup, and they said, oh, my brother, you take these, make you stronger. Yeah, they just cheated. That's that easy. I hope that helps. They cheated.
Of a 25 FFMI. So yeah, even when you go to the best of the best, hitting a FFMI of over 25 is rare, but it's not impossible.
Hold up. 1942 is the earliest one. Yeah, I just feel like if steroids were invented and emerged in the 1930s, I feel like they could have just got some. I mean, this is like 12 years after that shit. So I feel like these dudes just took this shit before anybody else knew about it, right? Just because they were popularized later doesn't mean that they weren't ever available to these dudes. And before the certain time period, none of them broke that scale. So I just feel like maybe they just got it early. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they got early access. You know what I'm saying?
Let's go back to the Corey study. There are only 74 subjects here.
Yeah.
And again, you do see this hard cutoff on the natty side at 25. But
And it's also like, Jeff, don't you think there's kind of a coincidence that like all around the same time period, so many people started popping up over that line? You don't think there was a chance that those guys were just fakes?
I suspect that if they had more natural subjects, you would have seen more people break through that ceiling. And with enough subjects, you'd eventually see a normal distribution, more like what you see on the enhanced side. Just consider this 2017 study on Division I and Division.
I feel like it's very weird to pull up a science-based study and then say, but I feel like this would happen if this. Okay, well, that's just what you feel. You know what I'm saying?
Division II college football players. The average FFMI for an offensive lineman was 25.1. That was the average. A nice few players did go over 25. Now, while the NCAA does randomly drug test its players, some of those guys
Yeah, they're just cheating.
may have been juicing at some point, but I really doubt they were literally all juicing. And I think that, combined with the Mr. America data, it's pretty clear that while it is very uncommon, it's not impossible to have an FFMI over 25 naturally. Hussein Farhat, the fitness influencer from my last video, is 185 pounds at 5 foot 11 inches tall and around 12% body fat. He has an FFMI of, what do you think, 25, 26, 27?
Let me guess 23.
Now, Hussein's FFMI was 22.8.
Yep.
Now, I know the issue with Hussein isn't his
Once again, nobody cares about his size or how he looks. It's a combination of how he looks with the way that he trained. There is no way.
size per se. It's the speed of his transformation
Absolutely.
that's suspicious.
Absolutely.
In this Instagram post, Hussein said he went
There's
from
no
134 to 184 pounds in his first 3 years of lifting at around the same body fat. I know he looks a lot leaner on the right, but there's some serious angle, lighting, and photo filter tricks going on there, so it's honestly not a good comparison. Regardless, let's just say he gained 50 pounds of lean mass in 3 years. Is that possible?
That would have meant, and I want to remind you, this, I believe this is from 16 years old to 19 years old, where he was training with a ladder and a broom. That means he would have had to 0 mistakes ever for 3 straight years. There's just no fucking way, man. There's no way.
Possible naturally? Well, let's look at it from a scientific angle. This is a table for realistic rates of muscle gain in men from my textbook, The Muscle Ladder, which I wrote before I knew who Hussein was. I said that most men will gain 10 to 25 pounds of lean mass in their first year of lifting,
Sure.
5 to 10 pounds in their second year, and 2.5 to 7.5 pounds in their third year. And I based those figures off this 2020 systematic review on whole body muscle growth in healthy adult males. So, according to my table, we're looking at a range of 17.5 to 42.5 pounds of lean mass gained in your first 3 years. Hussein gained 50. So yes, he's above the typical range. There are 2 possible explanations for that. One explanation is that he took steroids for the first year or 2 and then came off them before the blood test in my last video.
That's a great possibility. That's a pretty good possibility, don't you think?
That's possible. The other explanation is that Hussein was quite underweight and seriously undereating when he first started, causing his transformation numbers to be inflated. According to this 2008 study, average FFMI across 431 healthy Italian men without any training intervention was 19.8. Hussein.
And it's also like, I could believe this transformation a lot more if it was a fat guy going to a muscular guy. But a skinny anorexic kid that young going to that large, I just don't believe it at all.
Started with an FFMI.
There's
of
just no way.
17. That means at 5'11", if he had healthy, adequate nutrition, he should have been starting at 160 pounds, not 134 pounds. That means the first 25 pounds he gained were essentially just getting him back to a healthy baseline. And if you've been undereating for years, weight gain can happen very quickly once you start eating enough, especially if you combine it with hard training and a good genetic response to lifting. So, sure, he could be enhanced.
I really feel like Jeff is about to be universally shit on for this video. And the thing that worries me about this is that he does sound very convincing with what he's saying, but there's just absolutely no fucking way you're going to convince me that this guy's natty. There's no way. There's no way.
Be lying the same way that Liver King was lying. Except, it was obvious Liver King was lying.
The question has always been, do you take steroids? Do you take PEDs? The answer to that is no. I've never taken steroids.
Really?
I'm thinking about doing it.
And at 5'6", 190 pounds, and 7% body fat, Liver King's FFMI was 29. That's not possible naturally. Not to mention, he had the leathery skin, red puffy face, bloated water retention, and other obvious anabolic side effects.
Yeah, but what if he just trained really good? You know what I mean, Jeff? What if he just trained really good? And the reason why he has all that red puffy stuff is because he lived on a nuclear waste plant. Also, what if he was abducted by aliens and they put him in a hyperbolic time chamber to where he trained with Goku, right? I feel like these are just the factors that you're just like not considering, right? And maybe Liver King was lying about being on steroids just to gotcha and make you a not believer. So I just feel like there's just things you're not considering here, man.
But to be fair, some fitness influencers aren't.
Yeah, I mean, guys, Jeff, Liver King said he didn't do steroids, and I think you should believe him, man.
As obviously
What if he
fake
got zapped
natties
by
as
gamma
Liver
rays?
King. Maybe Hussein is one of them. I can't say with 100% certainty that Hussein Farhat has never taken steroids.
Thank you. That's okay. Amazing. Thank you. It is so obvious he's on steroids. It is beyond obvious. Thank you.
I can't say that, but I can say with 100% certainty that Hussein Farhat's physique is achievable without steroids.
I'm sure it
His
is.
blood work
Just
normal.
not with the way he trained
His
it.
FFMI is normal, and his transformation, while suspicious, is possible. It's common sense that humans can have very different bodies. The tallest
The other thing is training a 16-year-old to train with 100% efficiency is just a joke. Like, It really is just a joke.
Man alive is a Turkish farmer named Sultan Qasim. He's 8'3". The shortest man alive is Eshvin Esfil Gandersvad. He's 2'1". The hairiest man alive is Mike Israetel.
Good one.
Just kidding. It's an Indian teenager named Lalit Patidar, who has 95% of the surface area of his face covered with hair. 1 in a billion sounds impossible until you realize there are 8 billion people on the planet. Then it's not impossible, it's a guarantee. Someone is the oldest, it's Ethel Caterham, she's 115 years old. Someone is the heaviest, it was Khalid bin Mohsen Shari at a staggering 1,345 pounds until he recently lost most of the weight. And someone is the most muscular without taking steroids. Julian Fitzgerald is 19 years old, and he's been training for 4 years. He's 203 pounds at 5'11" and around 10 to 12% body fat. I crunched the numbers, and assuming we go with 12%, that puts his FFMI at, here we go, 25.0, right at the cutoff from the Corey study. If we instead go with 10% body fat, his FFMI is 25.5. As a comparison, what do you think Ronnie Coleman's FFMI was at his peak?
I'm gonna guess 28.6.
Ronnie won the Mr. Olympia contest 8 times, 8 Sandow trophies, the most in bodybuilding history. On stage, he was 5'11", 290 pounds at 5% body fat. His FFMI was 38.5. I'm sure
That's fucking insane. Holy shit.
this goes without saying, but Ronnie was way bigger than Julian. Ronnie obviously wasn't natural at his peak. He did have world-class genetics though. Like, Ronnie and his coaches say he was still 100% natural here at 27 years old. And given what he eventually became...
Yeah, they lied. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, bro. I'm not gonna take your word for it. They lied. They fucking lied.
Most of the bodybuilding world believes it. Now, in case you're doubtful, which I totally get, just check out this classic study which showed the power of muscle building genetics. It might just blow your mind if you haven't seen it before. I'm not sure if this part is common sense or not. Maybe it depends on how long you've been around gym culture. They took 342 women and 243 men and had them train their biceps for 12 weeks. Then they measured how much their biceps grew using MRI. The interesting part is that they all ran the same program, the exact same program. But just look at how different their gains were. Most people grew their
Well,
biceps.
just make sure they tried to run the same program. They tried. They may be on the same workout plan, but their level of execution is always going to vary.
Biceps by about 20%. But there were a few unlucky subjects who didn't gain any muscle at all. And there were a few really lucky subjects who gained 40, 50, even 55% bicep size while running the exact same program as everyone over here.
Yeah, they're on steroids.
There were 585
All right.
people in that study. That's 0.000007% of the world's population. And it still had a few freaks. So why are some people so surprised when every now and then someone shows up with genetics like Julian Fitzgerald or Ronnie Coleman? All right, so how big can you get without steroids? Well, assuming you're an average male, you train hard, you eat right, and you stay consistent, you should be able to hit a fat-free mass index of 22 to 24. Maybe 25 if you stick with it long enough and you've got some pretty good genetics. At around 12% body fat, a 24 FFMI would translate to 165 pounds if you're 5'6", 185 pounds if you're 5'9", 200 pounds if you're 6 foot, and 220 pounds if you're 6'3". Some of you will be able to go above those numbers, and it doesn't necessarily mean steroids, but for most people, this will be around your natty limit. And if you're looking to maximize your own physique naturally, diet is absolutely crucial. My nutrition app MacroFactor uses science-based algorithms to guarantee that you'll hit your goal as long as you follow the plan.
Food is very
It's the
important.
app I use to run my entire bulk.
And I find it interesting that we didn't talk about what those two dudes who are obviously fake natties ate. Because I highly doubt from an age that early they ate incredibly clean the entire time. Were lifting that much at such an early age and never got tempted by anybody to try roids out for a little bit. There's just no fucking way.
Last year, and it's the app I'm using for my cut this summer. We've got more than 350,000 active users and an amazing, supportive online community with some mind-blowing transformations. You can try it out for 2 weeks for free at the first link in the description.
I don't know, man. I don't know why he's dying on this hill. Straight up. Yeah, once again, I also don't care if someone's natural or not. I just care if they're honest. Absolutely. 100%. Look, another one. And this went about a year and a half. Hey, Jeff, just a quick note about the Hussein part. He pretty much made all of his gains in the first 18 months of training. As I've shown in some of my videos, he looks the exact same in pictures he posted over a year and a half ago as he does now. Moreover, he's been recycling pictures that he took over a year ago on his Instagram feed to this day, showing that he himself is aware that he looks the exact same now as he did over a year ago. As far as I'm aware, natty lifters don't plateau in their first year and a half, 2 years of training. That's the main point of contention. He said Hussein's mass and leanness would be achievable naturally for someone with great genetics. However, this would happen over the course of nearly a decade, not in a year and a half. The first 8 months of which are spent training in his garage with a broomstick and a ladder and pull-ups full of limited dumbbells. 1,000,000%. And I really, really feel like Jeff Nippard is dying on a hill he shouldn't die on. He's a very smart individual. I don't know why he's defending these guys so fucking much. And he should just say, yeah, I don't know why I made that. Maybe I was blinded by how much I like these people. Just like how I'm blinded with genocide. Anyways, this is a great video. Hopefully, my reaction to the video was great. I wish Jeff just said, yeah, I fucked up. I don't know why I said that. But it's very obvious that this Hussein guy is a fucking liar. They're both fake natties. Once again, we don't care if people use steroids or TRT. We just want people to be honest about it. And that's all we want, because people are going to be looking to these people for guidance on how to transform their lives. And if they're receiving information from disingenuous people, that's going to lead them down a bad path. And that's why I care so much about this.